Hello and welcome. Today I'm sharing with you step by step how to get this warm, natural, minimalist makeup look, what you can do to prep your skin, and a few tips along the way so that you can make this makeup look last throughout the day.
Skincare done. The key to helping your makeup last throughout the day, especially during these cooler months, is to make sure that your morning skincare routine is super hydrating. So I started out with an oil cleanse. This is the one by Mara. I typically just rinse with water in the morning, but I wanted something that would kind of help my skin hold on to some hydration. And this does that. It rinses clean, it emulsifies beautifully. It got all my skincare from the night before off without stripping my skin. My second step is to come in with a super hydrating serum. I chose the one by PREQUEL this morning. I also am working on some pigmentation issues that I had from this summer and also a breakout of dermatitis that left some post-inflammatory red marks, erythema that I don't want to go to brown marks. So I'm fitting in the Mother Science in my morning routine. Again, love this for helping control pigment. Another great choice is the Hyper Serum by Dr. IDRISS. Love that too. Now, then I decided to skip my vitamin C this morning. So I would have done that right after cleansing, but I decided to skip it. My skin's a little bit more sensitive now that we're moving into cooler weather. So I've been using Educated Mess, but I decided to skip that this morning and then just come in with a nice hydrating moisturizer. AESTURA is a new moisturizer to me. I picked it up during the Sephora summer sale, and I'm just now starting to use it because it's a little bit heavier of a formula than I was using this summer. But if I use just a few kind of half pea size amounts in one for each side of my face and then one for my brow, this is the perfect hydrating layer for under my fall makeup looks. All right, the last step, of course, is always sunscreen. I switched over to DRMTLGY's. This is their broad spectrum SPF 45. I use an untinted sunscreen, especially if I'm doing a makeup look that I want to last throughout the day because I don't want the color of the tinted sunscreen interfering with my skin tint. So hydrating skincare routine done, and I'm gonna put a lip mask because I love to put a mask on while I'm doing my makeup, especially during this time of year because my lips get super dry, and I'm using a lip mask to keep my lips nice and hydrated before I put on my lipstick today. And if this hasn't sunk in, then I just blot it off right before I put on my lipstick. So my lipstick stays, but I also have hydrated lips. I was having a tough time picking out my skin tint this morning, so I did a little experiment and I did swatches on my forearm of all my favorite skin tints, and then I let it set for about an hour, and I picked the two that were most hydrating after it kind of settled in. And the two winners were SAIE and Live Tinted. I'll put all the shades of the makeup that I'm using today down in the description and of course in the top comment that's pinned at the very top of the comment section, as well as all the products that I'm using today. I decided on Live Tinted because it has a slightly warmer tone to it. I think the SAIE is going to be better off for me in the winter months. So when I apply my skin tint, I usually just apply one pump and I apply it with my fingers. And the reason is because I'm going to come in with a clean brush and knock down some of this tint after I apply it. So I apply it evenly everywhere, even under my eyelids where I'm going to be applying my concealer, because I just want my concealer to slightly brighten my under eye area or color correct it, but I want it to look seamless with the skin tint that I'm using. And as you can see, the tinted formula is super creamy. And I am in the shade 10. Skin tint is tapped in. I'm going to come in with a clean brush. This is the Travel Brush 107 by BK Beauty. The reason I'm coming in with a clean brush is because I'm going to knock down some of this skin tint before I move on with the rest of my makeup. I don't want that mask heavy look that a skin tint can give, especially when it's a real creamy skin tint. I want to knock some of that down. I think mature skin looks a little bit better with skin peeking through. Even if you have some sunspots and pigmentation issues, I think kind of that real skin look is definitely a better look for mature skin. Skin tint in place. Now I'm going to look at two of my favorite concealers, I'm going to go with the Hourglass. It's slightly creamier for the cooler months and a little bit more hydrating than my favorite one by IT Cosmetics, the Bye Bye Dark Spots. And I'm always applying my concealer to the back of my hand. If I go straight in with the doe foot, it's just too heavy a look. By the end of the day, it just either is kind of melting a little bit or it looks creasy. So I always put the concealer on the back of my hand and then brush it out. So it's a few steps, but I just feel like it gives a more seamless look and it lasts throughout the day a little bit better if I take the extra steps to warm it up, tap it into my skin, and then stipple it, and then I'll put a little bit of powder over it to make it stay. So I'm just going to tap this concealer in. I bring it right up to the edge of my eye because I have such red rims around my eyes. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, but I always put my concealer over my mobile lid as well. That way I have a clean palette for my eyelid and I'm not introducing redness when I'm applying my shadow and not quite getting the right color that I'm looking for. Concealer tapped in, warmed up with my fingers. Now I'm going to set it with the Angie Hot and Flashy. This is her kitten paw brush for concealer, and it's the travel size, which I find easier to use. So it's A506. So I just stipple that in. It will also pick up a little bit of the excess concealer to prevent slippage when I put my eyeshadow on. I don't have oily lids, so putting a little concealer on my upper lids helps my shadow stay in place. If you have oily lids, you might want to use something that's more mattifying for your mobile lid area as a primer. Now for some blush. This is something I change up during the cooler months because I'm kind of done with the bright colors that I used for spring and the no makeup look that I did in the summer. And I'm ready for some warmer tones, especially in my cheek area. And I kind of skipped the brighter colors that I was using over the summer and spring. So I'm going to use bronzing drops and try the SAIE. I want to try both of these. These are new looks for me. And then I'm going to top each one of these off with a Merit blush in the under eye area. I do a double blush technique these days and I'm absolutely loving it. So this is in the color Stockholm. So the idea is that you put kind of a Blonzer, a blush bronzer right along your cheekbone. And like I said, I can't decide. So you can help me decide by the end of the video which one you like better. This is the Dew Blush by SAIE in Spicy. And these are the Westman Atelier bronzing drops. These are both liquid products. This is a little bit more of a creamy consistency. This is a little bit thinner, as you'll see. I'm going to swatch them both for you. The Dew drops are on the runny side. It's more of a serum texture, whereas the SAIE is more of a creamy texture and has a little bit more pigment to it. There's really no comparison, but I just couldn't decide which one to use today. So I thought I'd let you guys decide. Again, I'm going to apply with my fingers. I'm going to do 2 drops of the Dew drops and tap it in. And here's the SAIE in Spicy.
Because I made the mistake of applying the SAIE blush doe foot directly to my face as opposed to putting it on the back of my hand, warming it up, and then applying it, it took a long time to sheer this blush out. It's highly pigmented, but I eventually got there.
Now I'm going to come in with the Stockholm Merit Flesh Blush. I'm applying Stockholm right above the cheekbone and coming in a little bit further than I have been coming in because I like the look of having my blush a little bit more cohesive throughout this upper mid face area. So this is the one with the bronzing drops. And here's how it looks with the SAIE. I'm going to blend both of these out with the BK Beauty 101, also in the travel size. I usually stipple it in first. I've come in a little bit too close right here, so I'm going to swipe away just a touch as I'm blending. And I usually just blend it in that typical J pattern. And I do come up in my under eye area to make my concealer and my blush blend seamlessly. Since we have 2 colors going on, I'm going to give this a little dry brushing, clean that off. Love this blush. I feel like the bronzing drops are giving a little bit more of that typical bronzer look, kind of with a slight contour, whereas the SAIE and the Stockholm are just blending in beautifully just for that flushed look. Let me know which look you prefer. For my eye look today, I'm going a little bit more dramatic than I typically do by using a smudger in my lash line, and then I'm going to tight line my waterline in the under eye area. I did a makeup mistakes video recently where I talked a lot about liners, so I'm sort of excited about playing with these a little bit more. I talked to a few friends and they recommend doing the upper lid liner in the lash line itself. Now, I have ebony in the Makeup Forever. I need to pick up a taupe color, but this is what I have for today. I don't have too many liners because I typically don't wear it, but I'm kind of excited about this smudgy lash line look, so I'm going to give this a try. And then I'm going to slightly smudge out the lash line before I put my mascara on. I'm also going to put the liner in the first third of my lower lid. Liner in place. This is a little intimidating for me because I typically don't wear eyeliner, but I'm told once I smudge this out, it's going to look just fine. Actually, in my recent makeup video, the 5 makeup mistakes that I think mature women should stay away from is that heavy liner look, but some of you actually preferred that look on me. So it's just a matter of taste. I'm just not used to looking at myself with liner. So we're going to give this a smudge out and see if I'm still intimidated and want to wash it off. So I've got this smudged in using both of these brushes. I think this was a little bit too wide for the look that I was going for, so I came in and cleaned it up a little bit, but so far, so good. For mascara today, I'm just using one of my favorite mascaras. This is the one by Hourglass, and it's now in a brown, which I absolutely love. I think that just gives my skin and my complexion a warmer look, just a little bit less harsh. Lashes done. I love the Hourglass mascara. It's a tubing mascara. This is their unlocked. And I love the fact that it comes in brown now, but it just doesn't flake and it comes off really easy at the end of the day. So it's just my go-to mascara. Now for a quick and easy eyeshadow look. I've been doing this duo now for like 3 or 4 weeks. And I noticed when I was putting my mascara on, my concealer is creasing in my upper lid. So I'm just gonna pat this down a little bit, knock off a little bit more of it. It's always a good idea to take a look and see if your concealer or your skin tint or foundation is creasing in your upper lid before you apply your shadows. I just realized I had a ton of makeup all over my fingers, so I've cleaned that up. Moving on to my shadow look. This is the one that I've been reaching for lately, just the combination of shell and tobacco and the liquid Armani shadows. I put the tobacco in the crease and in the outer corner. I just find that these liquid shadows stay a little bit better and are less irritating to my eyes throughout the day. The powdered shadows are just kind of irritating my eyes, I think because the powder kind of drifts into my eyes throughout the day. But these are good stay put shadows that are just easy to use and easy on the eyes. At first, this looks way too dark for my complexion, but I've done this look enough now that I know it's going to blend out and look great. I'm going to blend out the crease shadow first and then do some highlights with the shell over the mobile lid. First shadow, blend it in. I like a brighter color over the mobile lid because my eyes are really recessed, so it just helps my eyes pop out a little bit more. Again, this looks a little scary going on, but I'll blend it out. I use the same blending brush for both my dark shadow and the lighter color. I just dry brush it in between. It seems to knock off enough of the color so that I still get a true color for the lighter shade in the mobile lid. I also have a little bit of a descending tear duct here. So I brought my darker shade a lot closer in on this eye than a lot of you will, just so I can camouflage that area. The dark color kind of makes that little bump in my skin recede a little bit, so it's not quite so noticeable. So here's the final shadow look. Simple, easy, and quick. I recently committed to doing my brows when I'm doing a makeup look. I used to just completely forget them, maybe brush them in place, but I've rededicated myself to actually making my brows a nice frame for my face. And I did talk about that in my makeup mistakes video. I'll link that down in the comments. And it was kind of an eye opener for me when I saw people doing a brow look versus not doing a brow look. So it's a bit of a process for me personally because I'm not used to doing my brows, but it's a 3-step process. You start with a powder. The reason you powder your brows is to make the wax that you're going to use stay. The steps are powder, laminate your brows, and then add a touch of color. Now, for some people, they reverse that step. They powder, they put their tinted brow product on, and then they laminate as the very last step. For me, that look is a little bit too harsh, leaving the lamination as the last step. So I did it by accident. I reversed them, and I actually like that better. So I powder them in just so everything stays put once I laminate and add my brow tint. All right, so powder in. Now I go in with a laminating step. This is the one by Thrive, just to give my brows some definition. It separates the brows. Today I'm using the Merit Brow product. This is in taupe. I really love the Merit in taupe because it's a cool taupe. Sometimes, because of my complexion with my gray hair, I get into colors that are a little bit more warm for my brows. And so I was moving toward grays and graphites, and they were actually too cool and had too much of a stark look. So this is my happy medium. If you're looking for a great brow product and you want a cooler tone because your complexion is slightly cooler, try the Brow Pomade by Merit. See how that just defines my face so much better? I don't know why I was so resistant to doing my brows before. Probably because I like a very fast 5-minute makeup look, and doing brows just seemed like a bunch of extra steps. But honestly, that took me like 60 seconds to do the powder, throw in the laminate, and then put the pomade over it. So loving this look. They are a little bit darker than I'm used to wearing, so it does take me a little bit of an adjustment, but I'm liking the idea of not forgetting brows. I think that's a great mistake that we mature women are doing. We need to give each of our features some definition so we don't get that washed out look. I feel like on the days that I don't do my brows, everything kind of just blends together. But when I do my brows, I just feel like I look a little more put together. For lips today, I have 2 new products to share with you and a tried and true that I found this summer. I'm starting out with the Tilt lip liner. This is new to me. I love the handle on this. It just makes it so much easier to get a nice defined line. And this color goes perfectly with one of the new shades of lipstick that I just picked up. So let's get this lined. Oh, let me blot first the lip mask that I was wearing earlier. I think most of it set in, but doing a quick blot will help your lip liner and your lipstick last a lot longer throughout the day. I don't know the color in this and the writing is way too small. I'll put it down below, but this is almost a perfect match for my lip color. Lips lined, I love this color. Now I'm going to share with you a new lipstick that I picked up. This is a Merit limited edition. It's in the color Maxwell. The packaging is different from the other lip blushes they have. And the color is supposed to be a cool berry, but for me, it goes on a little bit warmer than I anticipated. I absolutely love this color. I did a post about it recently, and everyone was saying how rich and warm the color was looking, even though they call it kind of a cool berry. I will say in this lighting, it looks a little bit cooler than it does in natural light. I realized I forgot, because this is a new step for me, to put a lighter shade in my lower waterline. I'm also going to clean up some of this liner in the under eye area. I think it's looking a little harsh. We'll see what it looks like after I tightline my waterline. The color I used for my lower waterline is the Bare Minerals in Diamond. What do you think of this combination, having a darker liner on top and then the brighter liner in the lower waterline? Like I said, this is a lot more makeup than I would typically wear. I'm kind of feeling like the lower smudged out mascara isn't looking as good as if I just had the clean line with the Bare Minerals. I feel like the lower smudged out liner is kind of putting a shadow in my under eye area. Let me know what you think. Are you liking the Blonzing Drops by Westman Atelier, or do you prefer the SAIE Du Blush? Actually, I like both looks. I feel like the SAIE Dew Blush in Spicy is a little bit warmer. I probably would gravitate toward this over the bronzing drops, which I might use more in the summertime. Hair done. Now for the final touch on my makeup today, I'm going to use one of the Hourglass ambient lighting powders. I'm going to use incandescent light. I love these powders. You can use them for so many things. This is incandescent light. It's just the way to elevate your makeup look, help it stay a little bit longer. I have a big day ahead and I really want this look to last. And just a touch of these powders just gives your skin that ethereal look and also helps it stay. So pretty. I love these powders. They're a staple in my minimalist makeup routine. You also can use these colors for shadows, for blushes, for a bronzer look, just depending on how you want to use them and which palette color that you have. Love these. Thank you so much for joining me today for a little makeup tutorial. If you have makeup hints and tips, leave them down in the comments. And as always, wishing you all a fantastic day.